of the day for the elite. When they're calling to take your freedoms away, you have to fight against the tyranny and read between the lines to find the truth that they try to hide right before your eyes. You can't even see it when you're looking at yourself, but that's the way that they want you to be. Locked up in this cage of hell, a prison in your mind, trying to find a way to get free. Prescription drugs and television, that's not for me. You gotta fight it. Don't lay down and die, you gotta fight it. Don't sit there and cry, you gotta fight it. No need to ask why, you gotta fight it. Fight it, fight it, man. You gotta fight it. Cause the system's against you, and the only way they win is if you have nothing to defend you. Second Amendment guarantees your right to bear arms. You have to protect your family and sound the alarm. You gotta fight it. Don't lay down and die, you gotta fight it. Don't sit there and cry, you gotta fight it. Don't need to ask why, you gotta fight it. Fight it, fight it, man.
And you got to put your body upon the gears and upon the wheels, upon the levers. And you've got to make it stop. And you've got to indicate to the people who run it, to the people who own it, that unless you're free, the machine will be prevented from working at all.
You gotta fight it. You gotta fight it.
All right. Welcome, everybody, to UCY.TV and the Voice of Humanity. It's the master of many things. And normally this show is dedicated to you guys, the little guy, the guy that gets screwed over, whether it be by the corporate machine, local schools, whatever. We don't have a confirmed guest for this week. So what I'm doing, and this is the first time this has happened, there's been a slowdown in requests. So first of all, people, stand up. I know there's millions of you that are out there being tormented in all different ways. You've been violated right to hell. And the first thing that you need to do to rectify that is stand up and speak. Now, I'm not Alex Jones, thank God for that. I'm not going to reach millions of people, but we are going to reach some, and some will reach out. But more importantly than that, if you get up and speak, be it for the first time, you're going to be encouraged, especially at the love you're going to see here at UCY.TV and through my Twitters and YouTubers and everybody out there. It's just awesome. And you're going to speak again, and you're going to speak again, and you're going to speak again. Anyway, to do that, email Kevin@masterofmanythings.com and give me a little bio, and we'll get you on a schedule for a Wednesday show. So tonight we're going to address something that I've been wanting to address for, well, a long time, and I do address as often as I can on the social networks, and that's the issue of marijuana and hemp, because I'm horrified. And on many levels, I'm sick of the bullshit. I am not going to... now, we can look at this, and we're going to look at this from many different ways. And I'm going to give you links into the chat room. If you're listening on the archive, please share this archive in the way to subscribe as well. But if you need the links, because obviously they won't come with the archive, go ahead and reach out to me, and I'll give you any information you need. I want everybody informed. And if you don't smoke and you don't think this pertains to you, again, you're a sheep. You're a sheep. Okay? Now, I'm going to start off, and I'm not a religious guy, but I'm going to start off with what I believe is the cut and dry, end all the bullshit, enough said, give me my freedom back of possessing marijuana, hemp, and using it the way I see fit. We are one nation under God, okay? We, no matter what you believe, we founded this nation on a belief in God. And the first book of God's Word says that God gave to me and you and everybody else all seed-bearing plants. End of discussion. The federal government, state law does not circumvent God's gift or the things that he has given to me. That's not why we started this country. Okay? Now, everything comes, there's a gray area, or there's a counterpart, I guess would be it. Now, I should have the right to possess this because God gave it to me. I should consume it in the way that I see fit, as long as it doesn't violate you. And really, the only way I'm going to violate you is if I stand there and blow hits in your face. And I'm not going to do that unless maybe you passed out at a party or something like that. Anyhow, so the federal government, as far as I'm concerned, has no say over this. And especially in a world that endorses all these synthetic things to make you better that cause more ailments. The pushing of alcohol to the point that our younger generation now, it's mainstream. It's almost a have to. You have to drink beer or whatever you do on a regular basis to fit in society. There's no place to hang out that's cool without everybody getting drunk, and even if you're not a drinker, you're going to be in that. And this asshole. During the show, I also want to address locally, because I believe that you got to think globally, but you got to act locally. And I want to address a few things in relation specifically, and I want people to start educating themselves again before you vote. And that's the other part of maintaining my rights and your rights is when you're voting, if you're a voter, and you vote down full legalization of marijuana with no strings attached, because enough of the bullshit, you are infringing my right as well. You're putting me in a position that I have to become a criminal to retain my God-given right. You don't have that authority either. You don't have the authority. And I think a lot of people get scared when they talk about marijuana or hemp legalization, that they have to consume it if they legalize it, that they're going to be inundated by it. Everybody around them is going to be smoking pot. And no. What is going to happen is you're going to stop throwing people in jail and paying for that. And again, we're talking about possessing a plant, unmanipulated by man. Alcohol, which you consume in abundance until you have destroyed your liver and probably beat your spouse or neglected your kids or whatever it is that you do to destroy yourself while you're drunk. You endorse that. You pay money to advertise that. That's fine. You vote that in with a little bit of restriction, but, as long as you're an adult and you don't get so drunk that you can't drive your car, they'll even let you consume a little bit of it. That's fine. You can have a little bit. You're still safe, and you can't smoke marijuana. Now, I want to give you an example of hypocrisy here in my home state, New Hampshire, with the state motto of "Live free or die." Up until a short time ago, they had some of the stiffest penalties in the country, up to a $2,000 fine and up to a year in jail for any amount. And that includes maybe you have a pipe and they can just scrape a little bit of goo on a pin and put it in a machine and test it, and you're guilty, and you probably will either pay money or go to jail, or if they don't like you, both. But in the meantime, if you're coming or going from the state on either of the major highways, Route 93 or 95, near the Mass border, you can pull off into what is labeled as a safety rest stop and is approximately 75 feet from the center line of the highway. And you can do three things there. You can go to the bathroom, wash your hands. I guess we have four things. And the other two things are two things that are the most destructive to society that we have: lottery and hard liquor. Yeah! Get you a bottle of booze, spend the rest of your money on some fucking cardboard, take a piss, wash your hands, but don't you dare have any vegetable matter, namely marijuana, in your possession. Bullshit. I was happy at first with the new governor, Maggie Hassan, who, by the way, for the last month or so, I've been tagging with marijuana-related information on Facebook, because whether you understand it or not, we have a lot of leverage in the social networks. They don't like to be embarrassed. And for a month and a half, she has ignored those posts, and you know that she's being notified. Folks, 1 minute. I have a letter, actually, from her office that I just got yesterday. Zach, will you go out above my visor and grab all the paperwork, please, there? Good kids. A letter, and I was horrified, and I immediately called her office, because when I approached this of wanting Maggie Hassan to make a media appearance with myself and all the mainstream media in the general area, and I wanted her to tell me and others why she will not vote for full legalization of both marijuana and hemp in the state. And then I wanted her to sit and shut her mouth and open her ears and listen to the information basically that I'm going to give you now on the history, case study, etc., and then also give her a chance to rebut. So anyhow, but I'm not going to do things the way the system says I have to do it to talk to my elected officials. I should be able to choose any of the means of contact that they list, and one of those being Facebook. And for the last month or more, anybody that knows me on Facebook can attest that I tag her on almost a daily basis. Ignored. I did send something through the website, and obviously I'm an informed citizen if I've even approached you on the subject of marijuana, Miss Hassan, in case you were one of your little puppets, like Kyle Sutton, who I spoke with yesterday, is maybe listening. I don't know. And if they're not, hopefully somebody will email them this archive audio. They'll listen to it in their spare time. But anyway, I'm informed about Miss Hassan's position on marijuana, fully informed. And I contacted her in relation to legalizing marijuana across the board. And I get this stupid fucking waste of postage and paper and ink. I'm going to read it to you. Dated May 3rd, State of New Hampshire, Office of the Governor. Dear Kevin, thank you for contacting the office of Governor of Margaret Wood Hassan regarding marijuana laws in New Hampshire. Governor Hassan supports allowing access to medical marijuana for patients if it is appropriately regulated with controlled and limited dispensing. Now, right now, already I'm pissed off that you're going to regulate, control, and limit a plant. The governor will closely evaluate any measure permitting the use of medically prescribed marijuana to ensure the method of distribution is safe. Excuse me, nobody has ever fucking died from it. How safe does it have to be? Can we discuss how many people die in the state or in the nation and in the world from cigarettes or alcohol or your prescription drugs, Ms. Hassan? You will address these questions. And I'm going to make everybody aware, and I made Kyle Sutton, who is the Assistant Director of Citizen Services at the Governor's Office, who I spoke with yesterday, who, while in the conversation, he replied to me many times, I did not know that. I did not know that. I did not know that. And I'm sure the governor did not know that as well. But Ms. Hassan, and I do have to make a formal request through the website. I didn't start that way because, again, I'm not here to be your puppet and comply with every fucking thing you write down on paper. And I think that if I address you on the social network, one of your forms of communication, that you should respond there. That's my feeling. Otherwise, delete the fucking Facebook page and don't make people think that you're there for them everywhere they are, because you're not. You haven't responded, Ms. Hassan. So either your marketing team sucks or you're not sure who's in control of replying to those messages, but one of you or both suck. As far as social networking goes, delete the page or respond. That's the first thing. Anyway, I'm so pissed off about this. I really am, because of this fucking stupid letter. Like, I don't know what she stands for. Governor Hassan will consult with relevant stakeholders. Now, excuse me, a stakeholder is somebody that has reason to gain financially or lose financially off the legalization of marijuana. Okay? So, money is involved. Who does this affect? when we get into the history, you'll probably wake up a little bit to just who those stakeholders are. And you can estimate how much those same stakeholders are taking from your fucking pocket right now because a plant is illegal. Oh, wait a minute. Some of the stakeholders are law enforcement. So law enforcement, I would have to assume, will lose money if marijuana is legalized. You mean they're not going to make as much off the prison system if we... Oh, wait a minute. If they're not making as much off the prison system, that means that I and you and him and her will have more dollars in your pocket right now. Oh, we can't have that. Now, can we? Okay, let's move along. And medical communities are listed. That Governor Hassan will consult with relevant stakeholders, including law enforcement and medical communities. Now, medical communities would obviously include Big Pharma, probably the doctors. Thank you again for sharing your thoughts with the governor's office. Please do not hesitate to contact our office with your ideas or if we can be of further assistance. So I did, and I think I was on the phone probably for about an hour. I must say that, I kind of slammed this Kyle Sutton, but he did return my call promptly, which is awesome. That's great. I was impressed by that. It was within an hour of me leaving a voicemail, I believe, and his secretary did tell me that he was in a meeting. So it seemed to me that Kyle Sutton got out of his meeting and called me immediately, and that's awesome. That's outstanding. But I expect that because you also expect that from me, and so that was great. Probably at least a half hour, 40 minutes, I had him on the phone. And I'm an aggressive type, especially when I'm pissed off. I don't know who Kyle is, but I'm not going to automatically be pleasant on this issue because you've already insulted my intelligence by sending me a fucking auto-generated email. I've got a stack of these fucking things. I don't need paper. Okay, I already know what the governor stands for already. And again, we're talking about what I believe to be God's gift to man. And you Christians better stand up behind this bill, too, because I'm about as sick of that bullshit, too. Okay? You want to take the Bible and use fragments of it and join them together and use that to enforce law. You know what? Law is written on your heart. If you're a true Christian, law is written on your heart. You don't need fucking written legislation. Okay? So, again, free the trees. This is bullshit. Okay. Now, by the way, folks, phone lines are open. If you have a comment, you want to give us some information, tell us about your history, and if you're against it, we'll hear that too. Hopefully, you'll give us the respect to listen to the rest of the show and see if I can turn around your opinion, because it does affect your wallet, it does affect your health, and in these critical times, none of us can afford to eliminate anything or make anything illegal that could turn this country around. By the way, did you know right now, all of you, including the baby that just came out of the womb, owes approximately $52,000? Yes, you do. Okay. My history, started drinking 12, 13, by 16, drinking almost daily, 17, drinking daily, and everything else. What did I get my hands on? So obviously I tried pot, but I didn't, some people I know start real early, 13, 12. I didn't smoke any pot till I was 16. And then so I did everything, including pot, alcohol, whatever. A little coke here or there, maybe a trip now and then. Just stupid, fucking immature 19-year-old. Got in trouble. Woke up. All this shit's bad. Did some jail time. Got out, turned things around. But I kept smoking pot, and I'm a hyper guy. I need something to settle me down. But all these other things, I knew that when I had gotten in trouble and when I broke the law, it was alcohol related. That was very clear to me, along with other things that I didn't get caught for that were also alcohol related. So if you're being a responsible person to yourself, it doesn't take much more than that, I believe, to stop doing shit that kills you. And now, yes, there's some exceptions, and sometimes you need further help than that. But I was firm in my mind that alcohol and all this other bullshit was going to go away. So I just kind of quit everything for a little bit, and then it was like I'd never had that unwind time. I couldn't settle my mind at certain periods of the day, and then I just wouldn't get any fucking thing done. Okay, and alternatives were toxic, and I wasn't going there because I saw already, even at that age, what pills were doing to people. So I picked up pot again, and it was wonderful. But so maybe I took a year off from 16 to 20 because, or 21 rather, because obviously I did about 8 months in jail. So it was 8 months, with the exception of one day we smuggled in some herb, and that was wonderful as well. But anyhow, now 42 years old, sharp as a tack, perfect health. I smoke on a semi-regular, or pretty regular basis. Many times it's donated, actually. And again, another shout out to the UK. A little over a year ago, a listener in the UK sent me a little treat in the form of some hash, and that was wonderful as well. Very shocking. Please don't try that. I don't want to see anybody get in trouble, but it was awesome. So anyhow, six-pack abs, perfect health. I don't really have any health issues. Do have minor back ailments, which, again, I could take an opiate, very highly destructive, addictive pill for that. Or mine is mostly muscle-related. Muscles swell under stress, and they rub, and so they hurt. But if I'm not stressed, the muscles relax. Now, yes, I could eat a ton of ibuprofen, but that doesn't fully work, and it does bother my stomach, and it's horrible shit. So, yeah, anyway, I smoke pot, and I love it. And I don't think that everybody should. That's not what I think, because I've worked with people, and I smoke on the job, but again, I'm not a guy now in my life or for a long time to overindulge. Not at all. That's not what it's here for. And so a lot of the propaganda or the things that people perceive, burnout, excuse me? No. How about you fucking come to me, and then you're going to wish that, I would smoke a little more and slow down. I'll run circles around your ass, smoking or not. Run on roofs, whatever. I'm just more comfortable that way because, again, I'm hyper, and sometimes focus is an issue. And especially, I got a lot to juggle. The stuff I do online, my give back, and my kids and work. And so it's, even if you're not a hyper person, if you're trying to keep up with everything that I have to do, you're going to become hyper because there's too much to fucking do, and there's only one of you doing the work of two people, and so you got to run. So that kind of gives me my even keel. But basically, 26 years of smoking. Now, in this time, just before or about the time I was going through divorce, and I knew there would be custody issues, I looked at things and I said, you've been smoking for whatever it was at that point, about 8 years ago. So about 16, 17 years. You can't honestly say to yourself that you're making clear decisions and that they're not influenced by marijuana. And I knew I needed to make clear decisions if I was going to be in the middle of a custody battle, because I couldn't afford an attorney. I was going to have to do this myself. So I quit smoking pot. And no withdrawals, so to speak, maybe a little irritated for the first week or so. But what I found, and I quit for, over a year, close to 2, so that I knew whatever was, left over was clean from me, and that my mind would be an unadulterated level. And I still thought the same about things. I still did things the same, but I did not have that pause at the end of the day. That is just, you have to have it, folks. If any of you are, parents especially, or maybe you're working 2 jobs or whatever, it doesn't matter how, if you're pushing yourself, you need that pause. And it was very hard for me to take a pause if I know all these things are going on. So after I knew my head was clear, the kids had already been home with me 2 years. I went back to smoking, and I'm glad I did because I need that pause. And also it brings out a creativeness in me. Now, again, I have worked with people that they can't smoke on the job because they're lazy. But the difference, I think, too, is personality. Like they say with alcohol, alcohol is an extension of your personality, and if you're an asshole, then, well, really you shouldn't drink alcohol. And I think in many cases that applies to marijuana as well. But whether it be medicinally or for social reasons or, unwind, whatever label you want to put on it, I don't know why we have to even dispute this. Again, we're talking about a plant that has never killed anybody. So anyway, that's my story, 26 years of use, getting much more active. And again, if you're in the New Hampshire area or if you're on a social network and you specifically know that you have people in New Hampshire, please share my contact information, this archive, get people in contact with me because I need to form a group of people that are going to stand with me so that I can make a formal request of Governor Hassan to a press conference. You might, I don't think debate is the right word because I'm not going to debate anything. I'm going to listen to her. She's going to listen to me and anyone else that has something to say. And then she will actually also, I think, in fairness, be given a chance to rebut at the end because but I'm going to need at least an hour of her time to lay down some facts. And speaking of an hour, I've been babbling for like 26 minutes. Good Lord, I haven't even looked at the chat room. That happens, folks. So if you've messaged me in the chat room and I don't see it, I'm sorry, but I'm usually, again, hyper guy. And yes, it would have not been appropriate for me to not smoke a little bit. So thanks to a gift from somebody earlier, I did that before the show, so I was quite prepared to perform. First thing, it's great to give you links and stuff, and I will do that in a little bit because you need to go back and revisit this. You might not be able to suck all this into your brain right now, but I'll put some links in the chat room. But the first thing I want you to hear is somebody that's probably pretty well recognized, Joe Rogan. About an 11-minute piece that he did, and I just think it's great because he's similar to me in the way, in his thinking, in his approach to conversation, where he doesn't mind saying "fuck you," and I'm a firm believer that although I try not to be rude to people, sometimes you just need to say "fuck you" or they're never going to hear anything, So don't take it offensively. It's like that loud yell, "Fire!" It wakes people up. It gets them looking in your direction, and that's what I'm here for. And if you're wondering why do you do this, this isn't a paid. All the hosts here at UCY are volunteers, and if you look around, folks, you don't see even a donate button or a Google ad. Jules and Paul just working their ass off and out of pocket for this network. So I'm so happy to be here, because I can just get into the show and I don't ever have to worry about drama between the hosts or the donation thing and always wondering if the station is going to, and all these things that I found on a former network. I'm very comfortable here. I love this place. So if I'm missing for a show in the future, it's only because there's a really good excuse, and Kevin's not going anywhere. So anyhow, I want to play this bit for you. It's about 11 minutes. Joe Rogan. I'll see if I can get this loaded up. This is on YouTube. As soon as it starts, I'll drop the link in the chat room as well.
This is what people need to realize. The only reason why it's illegal is because of economics. It's because there's like 1,000 different things that marijuana would fix that pharmaceutical drugs right now are prescribed for. And it would cost the pharmaceutical companies billions and billions of dollars every year. If marijuana was made illegal, it would cost alcohol companies. When you see those commercials, like those, the talking dog, the pot commercial.
Yeah.
I wish you wouldn't smoke weed. Those are... code, you can scan it. Doesn't mean it's a drug. It's not a drug, right?
Is there any truth to the fact that not to the fact, but way back when it was the logging industry that had actually put a halt to it?
William Randolph Hearst that put in 1935 they came out with a machine called a decorticator, and what a decorticator is, it allows you to effectively and economically effectively process hemp fiber, because before they used to use slavery, and when slavery was abolished in 1865, they had no means of effectively producing this pulp, like, you know, it would be economically effective. So more people were using cotton. But the Declaration of Independence was printed on hemp. The parachute that George Bush Sr. used to parachute in World War II, that was made out of hemp. Hemp had huge industrial uses. It was just very difficult to process. And so they came out with this machine called a decorticator, and it allowed them to really effectively produce it. And then Popular Science had this cover that said, hemp, the new billion-dollar product, and everyone was going to start using hemp for paper and for textiles. And William Randolph Hearst, who owned all these newspapers, and on top of that, owned all these paper mills, it was going to cost him millions of dollars to convert over to hemp. So instead, he started printing stories in his paper about some new drug called marijuana. And marijuana wasn't even a slang term for cannabis. Marijuana was used to describe a type of Mexican wild tobacco, completely unrelated. So they called it marijuana, and they said, this is how they got it illegal. They said people are smoking it, and blacks and Mexicans are raping women. So Congress outlawed this new drug, not even knowing they were outlawing hemp. They had no idea, which hemp had been in use for thousands and thousands of years. Yeah. And so then they came out with all these videos, or these movies rather, like Reefer Madness, and all these propaganda films, and it was all just to get people to think that there's something wrong with this one. It was totally economic. That's all it is.
So you're a casual user, right?
I mean, I know a little bit about it. No one has died from pot in over 10,000 years of use. 400,000 people every year die directly, in this country alone, directly from use of cigarettes. Yep. No one's ever died from pot, ever. But it's illegal. And you're not going to live forever, all right? You're going to live and you're going to die, and everybody is. We're all temporary beings going through this life, and, you know, who are you to tell other people what they can and can't do? And people are like, oh, pot makes you a loser, pot makes you lazy. No, you're a loser and you're lazy. And if you smoke pot, you're a pot-smoking lazy loser. It doesn't mean pot makes you a loser. You know, it's you, dude. Blame it on yourself. It's like alcohol doesn't make you a drunk. Right. You know, I drink, and then I stop drinking, and then I go get something to eat, and I hang out, and I won't drink for weeks. It's crazy. Yeah. You know, it's called moderation, and you apply it to every aspect of your life. And if you want to get addicted, you can get addicted to spanking it. You can get addicted to gambling. You can get addicted to anything. Scratch tickets, you know? Yeah, people get nutty. It's true, yeah. You know, and people say, well, you can abuse alcohol, you can abuse pot, you can abuse cheeseburgers too. Yeah. You know, but I like cheeseburgers. It should be legal. Yeah. All this stuff should be legal. We're not children. We're adults. But we got this one plant that's illegal, and it grows everywhere. And the reason why it's illegal...
Sorry.
What are you doing?
I hit a button in another thing.
You trying to jazz up the
I'm fascinated.
Pal.
So you think we should giggle and smoke pot?
I think we should have fun. You're not going to live forever. This is a short time that we're here for. And, you know, all different psychedelics, not just pot, because pot is a very mild psychedelic. And if pot is a gateway, it's a gateway to other things that also are consciousness expanding, like mushrooms and LSD, or all sorts of things that are also illegal. You know, the most dangerous drugs in this country, or the drugs that are the most illegal, rather, are all the ones who are not nearly as dangerous as the Schedule II drugs. Schedule I drugs are marijuana, mushrooms, peyote. Those are Schedule I. Yeah. Those are all the ones that can't kill you. Schedule II is heroin. Right. Schedule II is cocaine. Those are way worse for you. But the problem is opiates you use in a bunch of different drugs, like OxyContin, all these different things that pharmaceutical companies use. Right. You know, and there's medical grade cocaine, you know, they can use too. They use for medical use.
Do you go to these pot rallies? These normal
if I get baked, I'll go anywhere. Against my better judgment, I'll show up with a big stupid leaf t-shirt. Look at me.
I was reading some stuff on you. It says you use the most powerful hallucinogen known to man, DMT.
Oh, you use that?
Well, everybody uses that, really, because your brain makes it. Yeah, your brain makes it while you sleep. When you're in heavy REM sleep, everyone's brain produces way more than the effective dose. So what that means is, if you take the drug, like if it's chemically synthesized from a plant, and you take it, the amount you need to take is not nearly as much as your brain produces while you're in REM sleep.
Did you have a vision?
Yeah, a lot of visions. Sure. It's like, what I describe it as, it's like complex geometric patterns that are made out of love. Like, you go literally to another dimension. Yeah. And the crazy thing is that everybody does it every night while you sleep. Nobody ever thinks about why you sleep. Like, what you do is, when you sleep, is you shut off. You shut off and you just accept it, because we do it every night. But 8 hours of your day is somewhere you don't understand. You don't know about. You don't know what it is. You just go blank, and then you wake up and it's over. But you're going through an intense psychedelic trip during that whole time. And the same thing as, when you wake up from a dream, you can't remember it. Like, oh, it's a crazy dream. And it seems so real. And then 5 minutes later, you don't even know what the hell you were talking about.
Right.
You don't remember the dream. Well, that's exactly what happens when you smoke DMT. When you take this drug, you have these insane visions, and then you could barely remember it just a few minutes later. And it's because your conscious brain is trying to protect you from this experience because it's so mind-blowing. What it literally is. It's not scary because it's exactly the same thing that happens to you when you die. So if there is an
That's being
afterlife,
scary.
there is. Well, you're gonna die. Get used to it.
That's the way that you're
Everybody's
conscious.
scared of it, but it's not. It shouldn't be scary.
But Joe, here's the question: Do you lose physical control? When you're on this trip.
You're not even there, man. You don't even exist.
Well, that's the scary part. I mean, you can do something
Same
stupid.
thing that happens when you go to sleep. Yeah, you can do something. You're in a couch. Just sit on a couch, smoke it, and you'll lie back.
You pass out? I mean,
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
How long does it last for? Is it
10
like
minutes.
10 minutes?
10 minutes. And then you're back.
I remember-
But what happened? This is what happens to you when you die. I mean, this is the chemical that your brain produces, and it's produced by a part of your brain called the pineal gland, and literally, it's your third eye. It's
Right.
literally in the center
Right
of
in
your
the
brain,
middle, yeah.
where the third eye is, and it actually in reptiles it has a retina and a cornea and a lens. And they've done all these scientific studies on it. They did a bunch of clinical trials at the University of New Mexico. They did a book on it. DMT, the spirit molecule. And what this is literally like a portal to the afterlife. It allows you to sneak a peek over there and come back. It's mind-blowing. But the crazy
Why
thing
did
is,
this make it out the Fear Factor?
well, the crazy thing is they've known about this since like 1960. If you saw a movie and there was a substance in this movie that existed in every single ecosystem, it's in plants and it's everywhere. It's in grass. You take Phalaris grass and you extract it and you get DMT from it. Literally. I mean, it's in more plants than it's not in. And if there was a drug that allowed you, if you smoked it, you could literally see God, literally have a communication with pure wisdom. Wouldn't you think that everybody would have heard about that?
Yeah.
Could you think that you could keep something like that under wraps for like 40, 50 years?
See,
What they have.
I go the other way on this. I've never, I'm not opposed to other people doing. I've never tried pot. I've never been drunk. I've never done any of it, just because it holds no fascination for me.
Well, that's because you've never done it. If you've done it, it would be fascinating. You can't say you've never done something, so it holds no fascination. That doesn't make any sense. When you've done it, and you experience it, you're cutting back on your life's experiences. You just don't do anything that's addictive. Don't do anything that can kill you. It's real simple. This is what should be legal. All plants should be legal because they don't make strychnine illegal. Strychnine exists in Strychnos vomosus or something like that. There's a bunch of different plants that produce strychnine, and they're legal plants. You can buy them and you can make strychnine. You know what? It's not about something that kills you. It's about something that you won't be able to absorb propaganda the way you do now. You won't be able to look at the news the way you do now. You won't be able to look at common cultural conditioning and predetermined patterns of behavior. None of that stuff will make sense.
You'll be
It's
looking
very
at it.
difficult to go through life after you've gone through that experience.
Okay.
The way I describe it, it's like any intense psychedelic experience is like pressing Control Alt Delete on your brain.
Yeah.
That's what it's like. It's like your
that
brain
freaks me out.
reboot. It should freak you
Yeah,
out.
it does
But
freak me
it freaks
out.
you out because you like to be in control.
Yeah.
But you're not in control, bitch. You're gonna die. No one's in control. You're in control of your body for a short period of time, and you should experiment
I
with
work
it.
out at least 5 days a week. I was a U.S. national Taekwondo champion. I do jujitsu 4 days a week. I lift weights at least 3 days a week on top of that. I'm constantly active. I do stand-up comedy every fucking weekend, never take time off, constantly writing material. I do Fear Factor. I was doing Fear Factor and The Man Show and jujitsu, smoking weed every fucking day. Every day. It helps me. It helps me in every way. It makes me much more enthusiastic things that I actually enjoy doing. Much more enthusiastic. So it doesn't take away your motivation. It'll just take away your motivation to do something that fucking sucks.
But I think his question. I think his question was along the lines of one of the other false arguments that's thrown out there is the fact that you have to inhale it and smoke it.
But even if you do smoke it, I'm telling you, it doesn't hurt you.
But the fact
My
is,
cardio is fantastic.
there are those who choose to smoke it.
Right.
But there are those there are better ways that you don't have to smoke it now.
absolutely.
The vaporizer is a wonderful thing.
Sure.
That's not smoking it at all. That's
Lollipops.
not getting lollipops.
Lollipops are the shit. Brownie. Those lollipops, man, that's a smooth, mellow high that lasts for hours. There's and I don't buy any of the damage on the lungs thing with the smoke. I don't buy.
Okay, folks, you heard it. Jogan's point of view. And what I like about the way he presents is he's not sitting there like a drone with a bunch of links and reading from a script. He's giving you this straight from his brain on his knowledge of the plant and the history and his own personal experience, which, living it myself. Now, if you aren't a marijuana advocate or a user or smoker, whatever you want to call it, you're really not going to be able to fully understand this. For those people, we do have to, remind you that, again, you have no right to take away God's gift to me. But for the science and all that, there's a ton of information, and I want to start out with one of the most credible, hardworking resources, and I'm going to encourage everybody to follow the link over here and subscribe to NORML. That's NORML.org. And quite honestly, they've been fighting, I believe, since the late 60s, early 70s, maybe. I could be off a year or two about that. I'm sorry. But a long time for marijuana reform. So I'm going to take from their timeline. But for those in the chat room now, there's the link coming in probably 30 seconds before you hear that it's there. But anyway, if you want to follow along. And this is pretty thorough. I do have a couple other sources that'll give us some dates that extend past this. But anyway, starting April 29th, 1911. So you got to go back a ways, folks, and that holds true for anything in the truth movement, conspiracy theory, whatever you want to call it. April 29, 1911, Commonwealth of Massachusetts becomes the first state to ban cannabis in the United States. Then in 37, August 2nd, Franklin Roosevelt signed federal legislation that banned cannabis use, production, and sales, including for industrial hemp. In 41, Roosevelt signs an executive order that allowed for emergency hemp production for industrial uses during for canvas, cordage, rope, oil, and fodder. Numerous Midwest states were subsidized to produce industrial hemp in support of the war effort. So right there, I want to pause and just interject and wake you up a little bit, and especially those of you that aren't informed. Made it illegal, okay, but then when the government saw fit, when the government had profit involved for the war machine, it was fine. Think about, chew on that while I give you some more information. 1943, medical products derived from cannabis were removed from the U.S. formally, and physicians could no longer prescribe it. So up until 43, it was legal to, and they were prescribing it as medicine. Why did they stop doing that? Well, because control, money, big pharma. Okay, that's the nuts and bolts of it. And there's so many industries that are affected or would be affected. You could drive your car off the oil. I mean, we can go on and on and on. 1965, beat poet Allen Ginsberg convenes one of the first organized public protests against cannabis prohibition laws, wearing handwritten signs around his neck that read, "Pot is a reality check, and pot is fun." The effort was originally called Lamar and later became California-based reform organization Amorphia. 68-69, appellate court challenges the 1937 Reefer Madness anti-cannabis laws, forced the federal government to create a Controlled Substance Act and the Drug Enforcement Administration in 1970. So we're going to spend more money now. Now we're going to spend money to keep it illegal. And that, if you're going to spend money, you know that there has to be money coming in. And usually it's coming in greater volume. That's why they make the laws that they make, because somebody else is going to pay them more or whatever. So Richard Nixon creates Blue Ribbon Commission to review cannabis laws, historically known as the Schaefer Commission. But the thing is when you give false science and fucking propaganda, a review is no good. Okay? The science of it that we have now is just outstanding. It's outstanding. So maybe Nixon didn't have the full science, but I bet he got the full benefit from keeping it illegal and pacifying the sheep because he wanted a review. 69, and Morphia founded again. 70, public interest attorney Keith Strout founds National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws in Washington, D.C. The Controlled Substances Act became law and for the first time sets up a scheduling system for illicit and licit substances, classifying cannabis as a Schedule I controlled substance with a high potential for abuse, no currently accepted medical use in treatment in the United States, and a lack of accepted safety for use under medical supervision. And this is a complete line of bullshit. There is not a high potential for abuse, and I know that personally myself. The people that I know that do abuse it, should they get hooked on carrot juice, they would abuse that as well. It's a personal flaw that they have for whatever their reasons are, be it depression, low self-esteem. I don't know. But I know that it's not, you're not going to abuse it if you're a thinking person and you care about yourself. Abuse of anything. I mean, if you drink too much water, you're going, okay, so cut the bullshit. No, seriously, really, cut the bullshit. And no currently accepted medical use. That statement is irrelevant. No currently accepted medical. Who's to accept it? Okay, I accept it. Good enough. Who is the fucking authority to tell me how I am to take care of my health needs? Okay? Nobody. You have an inherent right to care for yourself the way you see fit. And again, we're talking about using a plant that you could grow yourself. You could spend no money on it. Zero. For 151, I think, different medical uses. I may be wrong. Maybe the 151 is the number of corporations that would fucking be wiped out. Okay? Or minimized at the very least. And for you sheep that are going to take that and twist it, and you trolls, and say, well, we can't eliminate all of these big corporations, billions and billions and billions of dollars will be lost. No, it will not. It will be transferred to the people that will finally be able to be profiting from their farmland rather than getting government checks not to grow something. The people will have the return financially when they don't have to decide between feeding themselves or going to get pain medicine. Rather, they can step into the backyard and sprinkle some water on a plant and wait for that to grow. I get started. I probably should have made this a two-part because I get pissed off every time I think about the fucking ignorance of this. The complete and absolute ignorance. Okay, so there's a little bit of the start of it, but because we only have short time left, I want to go ahead and jump to another source that is the timeline, but this takes you back even further. And you might say, well, you went back to 1911, Kevin. How much farther do you need to go? You need to go back a long ways to get the full picture and understand, first of all, again, this is a God-given right. It's a very safe plant, the whole list of reasons. But you need to see that other people, because, this isn't a show that's restricted to the United States, folks. If I had to guess right now, well, I know, and I got to give a shout-out. I'm sorry it's late. Jenny is in the chat room. You might see her on Pal Talk as the foxy little dancer. Big shout-out to Canada. Much love going north and west, I think, to Jenny. But anyway, the whole country. But you need to go back and realize that people of the planet Earth have been using this for thousands of years. So anyway, we are going to go, I believe this is it. And I will share the link once I confirm. Yeah. Let's go back a couple hundred years. 1619. Okay. And we're still talking about the United States here. But let's start off with this post. This is from about.com, Civil Liberties. And let me go ahead and go paste the link into the chat room for anybody else that wants to follow along. And if anybody, again, hears this on the archive and, needs help finding links or information, feel free to reach out to me. 1,000,001 ways to do that. For a variety of reasons, reading from the Post now, for a variety of reasons, none of them especially compelling. The distribution of marijuana has been illegal for almost a century, but its history in colonized North America predates the war on drugs by centuries. 1619, an old 1619 Virginia statute required farmers to grow hemp, from which cannabis can be derived. When this requirement was presumably based on hemp's non-pharmaceutical properties, this fact is understandably cited by legislation proponents in an ironic milestone in the history of marijuana law. 1839, Irish physician and herbalist William Brooke O'Shaughnessy publicizes the medical benefits of cannabis, and the medical marijuana becomes useful ingredient in many pharmaceutical products over the coming decade, 1839. 1854, New York Times column refers to the marijuana as one of our fashionable narcotics, even though marijuana is not actually a narcotic. So you see, again, here we see mainstream media twisting things a little bit. Put it out there as our fashionable narcotics, so you everybody think it's fine, and you've made them believe that it's a narcotic, something that it isn't. So then when you make legislation shortly thereafter deeming narcotics bad or needing to be regulated, people already believe that it is a narcotic. And it was fashionable, but now we have new science, and it's not good for you, and we need to pass this law. And I think they do it unwittingly, again, a lot of times because nobody has time to do the research. So I encourage you to, especially if you're a voter and you want to make informed decisions. If you don't do research, you either take my word for it at the end of the show and you vote for full legalization, or you spend more time doing research, because everything is affected. Me and your wallet, and you don't have that right. I'll reiterate. 1905, a pamphlet published by the U.S. Department of Agriculture identifies cannabis as a poison, substantially limiting its use in pharmaceutical cocktails. Poison! Blatant fucking lie. Poison, I would be dead by now, people. Good Lord. 1937, marijuana tax effectively prohibits the legal distribution of marijuana for non-medical purposes. 51, the Boggs Act establishes mandatory minimum sentence for the distribution of marijuana, a federal policy that continues to this day. 69, as part of his anti-drug policy, Nixon implemented Operation Intercept, which imposed strict of traffic along the U.S.-Mexican border in an attempt to influence Mexican domestic policy on marijuana. While Operation Intercept was a failure, it illustrated the Nixon's administration's aggressive attitude towards controlled substance of all kind, and in this case towards marijuana in particular. And then in 66, California voters passed Proposition 215, which legalized marijuana throughout the state. And that brings me to a point that I need to touch on, especially those of you that are going to vote for medical marijuana legislation. In my opinion, and from what I saw for the year or so that I was in California, you cannot do that. Again, I'm going to reiterate that you don't have the right to take this possession of this plant from me. But when you pass legislation on a medical level, you create a monopoly. And the doctors have a monopoly where they charge $160 to $200 every year for you to keep the card, and you may not do anything more than fill out, your information and come in, and the doctor will just listen, looking up at the ceiling, wondering how he's going to get spider, not hear a fucking thing you say, and sign here, and now you can go buy pot at an overinflated price. Yes, you can grow it yourself, but a lot of people in the inner cities and don't have the place to do that, or their landlords might not like, whatever. Or they might not have the time, the ability, or the desire. It's like you can make beer, but most people don't. So you're going to want to go buy it. But you can only buy it at certain places. Now they have a monopoly. Now, years later, when it comes time to give full legalization, the people that have the leverage in the storefronts and are getting 100 pop to sign a piece of paper to give you permission, now they vote down legalization. It happened in California, the biggest voter turnout on the issue ever in history. Over 300,000 people turned out to vote on the full legalization, and it was beat mostly because the people that already have the license to do so don't give a fuck about you, and they're going to make their money. And you know what? Fuck you. Whether I have for a backache, I know people that use it for stomach aches, attention deficit, against the propaganda, it is good for depression in some people. Now, there's a lot of things you got to keep in mind that if you're using it as a medicine, you have to judge this individually. You have to try it yourself and know how it's going to affect you. I'm not saying it's a cure-all for you, but it damn well might be, and it really depends. Again, 150 medical uses. What's wrong with you? Okay? You figure that out. But damn it, don't cut yourself short. Don't take the toxic pills that they're giving you. There is nothing on the market pharmaceutically that has been proven ultimately safe. Look at all the warnings. You will fix this problem maybe, or delay this problem more likely, but you have a high potential of creating 10 more problems inside yourself or your mind. The pain pills, destroying people's mind. I know this firsthand. I left this valley 3-4 years ago, and I saw certain people at a certain level of Percocet opiate intake, and I've come back in 4 years, and they have tripled the amount that they're taking in, and they're paying 10 or 20% more per milligram than they were then, and they're fucking sick. And if they don't get it, they're sick. Sick to the point they can't work. Sick to the point they beat the shit out of themselves. You know what? If I can't afford some marijuana, I don't get it. I don't have a super hard time with it. I can still function. Things are uncomfortable for me. I might be achy, but I will do it. I'm not going to steal for it. I'm not going to waste my time and run around to my wit's end and see who's got some. I might make a phone call or two, but that'll be the extent of it. I'm not going to waste any time with it. I'll just wait till it comes through. So you got to ignore the propaganda, folks. And I only got a couple minutes here. We'll hear when the music starts. It's time for Kevin to go, but I really hope that everybody will share this audio, share these links, find your own links. Don't take my word for it. And you know what? If you never have smoked, go smoke, but smoke twice. Chances are the first time you're not even going to feel anything. You say, this is useless. And again, you don't know the benefit until you try it. And do some research. I wish I had more time to address this because there is a ton more information. If you are a New Hampshire resident, please reach out to me if you're willing to help share the information. Email Maggie Hassan. Go to the website, just Google her name, you'll find it. Email her, call her. Just please share this information. I want to get going here in New Hampshire, but you can lean on me no matter where you are in this country or on the planet. If you need information about related to marijuana, or if you want to chat about it, reach out to me on whether it be Facebook, Twitter, email, Kevin@masterofmanythings.com. And remember, folks, before we go, this show is your show. I brought something tonight that I think you need to know. I'm absolutely sure you need to know, because if you have voted down marijuana, or if you've avoided voting for it, you are fucking me over, and I'm not going to have anybody fuck me over. So please think about it, share the information. But this show is yours. I know there's a ton of you out there that have been ripped off, scammed, beat down, and this is your show. So reach out to me, Kevin@masterofmanythings.com. Catch up to me on YouTube, Facebook, or somewhere, because that's when I'll announce the next show. To everybody, much love, many thanks to Jules and Paul. Double love to you guys and all the hosts here at UCY.TV. And remember, we are the media. You got to stand up and speak. Much love, and join me on Monday night.